Recording. All right, here we go. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. All right. Hello, Facebook family. This is Vi Jackson coming to you live from the 305. And today is Wednesday, September 21st. It is 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm super, super excited to invite you to the Traction to Action show. It's been a minute since I've been on here because I've been busy building the business and doing the things. But I have a very, very special guest for you today. And I just couldn't delay any further. I wanted to share her with you as soon as possible because what she is doing is right in step with what God is doing. And you guys, if you've been following me at all, you know God is on the move, you guys. He is going to launch 1 million coachpreneurs in the next decade. And so I'm excited because Jenny-Lyn is one of those. She is a digital marketing consultant and a kingdom business mentor slash coach. And she has a huge heart, especially for women. And so she's been helping me in my business and getting my business launched at my both sides of the business, the transformational coaching for millennial leaders, as well as the Launch Your Profitable Coaching business. And it's just been amazing working with her. So I'm going to share more about her in just a minute, and she's going to obviously get a chance to talk about herself, but I just want to do a little bit of quick housekeeping. For those of you that don't already know, I don't know how you wouldn't know because I've been slamming your Facebook page, your Facebook feed with my book, Launch a Profitable Coaching Business. And for those of you that are coaches, regardless of what niche you're in, you definitely want to get a copy of this book. I've been getting feedback about this, The Ultimate Guide to Impact and Income for the Kingdom-Minded Coaches, from people that are entrepreneurs that aren't even in the coaching space. And they are just saying that it's been really encouraging and helping them to move forward, helping them to get unstuck, helping them to step into the call of God on their lives, helping them to step into their kingdom purpose with courage, with confidence, and with clarity. And so I'm really, really excited about what God is doing, and I'm excited about being able to connect with you today. And so I want you to really be listening as Jenny-Lyn shares her story of entrepreneurship today. Really be listening and for those gold nuggets, for the aha moment where the Holy Spirit is speaking to you, where God may be speaking to you and calling you. I believe that as you listen to this, whether you're listening right now live or by replay, that you may already be walking in a measure of success, but you are saying, but I love what I'm doing, but there's more. Or you may be in a place where you feel not 100% satisfied with what you're doing, and you know that God has something more for you. So either way, just have your heart open and your ears listening, because I believe you're going to hear something that's going to spark spark a fire in you and ignite something in you that will give you just what you need today. So without further ado, let me just tell you a little. Let me first of all let you know, because most of you know, but in case you don't know, there is, okay, first announcement. Tomorrow, Thursday, one of God's Kingdom coaches, Alicia Cole, who happens to be part of our Launch Your Profitable Coaching Business turnkey 12-week group coaching program. That's a mouthful. I'm glad I got it out. She is going to share and it was originally just intended for her cohort in the 12-week group coaching program, but we want to make that accessible to coaches who are serious about building their business and getting that business launched. And so if that's speaking to you, I want to invite you right now to join. It's called Boots on the Ground Challenge, and I'll drop the link in the comment section so you can easily find it. And the only thing I'm making it free. Now, it's not always going to be that way, but tomorrow you will get to come in. She is a small business strategist, finance strategist, and she's also a certified life coach. And I'm not even going to spoil it for you. I'm just going to invite you to come in. I'll just simply say this: if you are an aspiring coach or already coaching and you want to get your finances, your accounting, your bookkeeping in control, you don't want to miss what Alicia is going to share tomorrow. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at that. So all you need to do is just join the Facebook group, Boots on the Ground Challenge, and that will get you into the room tomorrow. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, we're here with Jenny-Lyn today. And then October 6th, I've got another special guest coming up, but I'll share more about that later. But stay tuned. This is the place to be if you're serious about building your coaching business in the shortest amount of time possible. So, as I said, Jenny-Lyn is a digital marketing consultant. She's also a mom and a wife. And her call to entrepreneurship came at the end of her Master's of Science degree, which she's going to tell you more about that. She was building her church's website, and basically the gifts and the talents that God put on the inside of her came to the light. And she realized, oh my goodness, I'm actually good at this. And people, you're good at something when other people tell you you're good at it, right? And so, yeah, Jenny-Lyn, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited, as you can tell, because I start talking really fast when I get excited. But I'm just very thankful that you took the time to join us today. And yeah, why don't you go ahead and share a little bit about your background with our audience, and we'll take it from there.
Well, thank you so much for having me today, Viola. It is my pleasure to be here with you today. And so just a little bit about me. Thank you so much for that introduction. I actually grew up in the Caribbean, beautiful island of Antigua, and I'm now in Canada. So if you hear a funny sounding accent, that could be why. It's like a mix of different things. But I came to Canada and I was on a science trek, a science path. Growing up in the islands, when you're really good in school, there's this thing where if you're really good, then you're going to be a doctor. So I just kind of took that. I'm going to be a doctor. So I came to Canada to do my bachelor's of science degree in chemistry. And so I enrolled in that program. And then I worked a little bit as a research assistant in the lab. And so I fell in love with doing research. And then I subsequently did my master's of science degree in research, medical research. So I always had a heart for finding answers when it comes to like health and medicine and all that stuff. And so I was just going along that path, that expected path. And then I get to my master's degree, and it's probably like a few months or weeks before I'm meant to do my final exam, which is like an oral exam. And then for some reason, I get hit with severe anxiety. Now, what's really interesting about this, Viola, is throughout the course of the program, we've always done presentations. We do weekly presentations with our group, and we do presentations in front of the larger department. And all along, I was fine. But when it came to this final exam, I got hit with anxiety. And then I'm like, I can't do this. I'm not sure I'm going to do this. It was really bad. I went to the doctor, and the doctor's telling me I'm fine. And I'm like, but I'm not fine, and I was really on edge. My supervisor at the time was really surprised. And he was looking at me like, but you know everything. You practice, like you're the expert. And so he was really trying to encourage me. At that time, it was really bad. I decided that I was going to try anything that could help me. So at that point in my life story, I decided to try meditation. At the time, also, I got involved in an active philosophy class, and I was learning new age things, and I was just literally trying any and everything to help me. But it seems like the more I tried, the worse the anxiety became. And then I finally came to my senses. And the reason why I said that was I actually grew up in the church and was very involved in the church. And even the way that I came to Canada, it was really a step of faith. And then somewhere along the way, I lost my way, got sidetracked to the point where I'm trying all these things. And then finally I said, wow, what about if I pray and ask God? It's interesting. And so I did. I cried out to God to help me. And in true, gracious, merciful, compassionate form, he answered me. And I was able to go and face that examining committee, have my oral presentation. And I honestly, I felt like I was a different person, but I know now it was because God was with me. I was able to clearly and confidently, I had so much peace, and I presented really well that everyone on the examining board said to me, I should definitely do my PhD because it was just the level that I was operating under. But just a few days before that, I was so filled with anxiety, but on that day, I had peace, what I would call like perfect peace in the midst of it all. And so it was really there at that point in my master's degree. I was at that crossroads. I heard what the examining committee was saying about doing the PhD, but something just didn't resonate with me. And so I prayed what I call a dangerous prayer. Don't pray this unless you're serious, right? So I prayed to God, and I said, because honestly, between my bachelor's degree and my master's degree, I worked for a couple of years. I worked in a chemistry lab, and it didn't feel like me. And so essentially I said, okay, I could go on to doing the PhD, didn't really feel peace about that. Or I could go, look for a job, or start a career using my degree. And so I said, essentially, Lord, I've tried that working before, didn't really feel fulfilled. So what is it that you want me to do? So that was the dangerous prayer. So I prayed that, didn't really think anything about it, and decided I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to apply for jobs. I'm going to use my degree and my contacts and all the things that I've learned, and I'm going to apply for jobs. Well, a very interesting thing happened is that door after door after door after door after door was closed. Nothing. It didn't even matter if I applied to things relating to my degree or if it was like minimum wage type jobs. I'm like, literally every door was closed. And I thought, that's really strange. Like, what's going on here? And so around this time also, I had a young family, got married, had my son, and then it was just one challenge after another. When my son was born, I actually went into crisis where my kidneys were shutting down, and I almost died. Going through it, didn't realize the severity of what was happening, but like they had to monitor me and keep an eye on my kidneys. Wow. And so that happened. And then my son later on, after we were home, he developed baby acne, and that led to severe eczema. And it was really, really bad. He had a really difficult time sleeping at night. He never seemed settled. Every time he was fed, he was always throwing up. And me, first time mom, have no idea what's going on. And so that began to take up most of my time. And I'm thinking about how can I help my son? And so come to find out, a really scary way about a year later is that my son actually had food allergies. And so now, as a first-time mom, young mom, trying to figure out how do I do this? I've never had experience with food allergies before. It's not something that, anyone in our family had experienced, so really no one could help me. And so essentially, all that was going on. And in the midst of that, my husband and I weren't on the same page in terms of because we're both first-time parents, we're both scared, not knowing how to do this. And so I'm like, we should do this. And he's like, we should do that. So there was a lot of that going on as well. So, and it all felt really overwhelming. And so having come to my senses and reconnected with God, I'm pressing into God and I'm trying to figure out, what do I do? I'm trying to hear him. So around this time, I find myself back in church, and I start to get plugged into Bible study, and I just needed like a space to connect with others and to learn more about God. And during this time also, it's like it was kind of there, but I had kind of given up on the job search at this point. So I was unemployed, and all this is going on in my family. And I go back to church and got reconnected. And it really was, a sermon that changed the trajectory of my life. I had never thought of being an entrepreneur. I was job searching. That's all I knew. And I heard a sermon, and it was a sermon based on Tabitha, or Dorcas, who we find in the book of Acts. And long story short, actually she is just a few verses in scripture that mention her, but she had a wonderful gift of making different things with cloth, and she would always make these things, and she would make it for the women. And so everyone really loved her because she was using her gifts and talents to bless them. And she actually died, and everyone was so shaken up by that that they're thinking to themselves, she can't die. She's such an important part of our lives. So what they did, they heard that Peter was in a town nearby. And so they went to get Peter. And then he came and he rose her from the dead. And she was, through the power of God, of course. And so I heard that. And the name of the sermon actually was What's in Your Hands, believe it or not. That was the title of the sermon. And so I heard that, and I began to think, what am I doing with my life? What am I doing with my life? Am I making an impact with the people around me, that if I, God forbid, died today, that they would actually miss me enough to say, let's try to raise her from the dead? Like, because that's like an impact. So I sat there and I thought, what am I doing with my life? Like, what are the things that God has given to me? Am I using them? So right after the sermon, I went up to the pastor and I said, how can I help? How can I help? Where do you need help, in the church? And I kept saying, I could do this, I could do that. I was really eager. And so it came down to the church's website. I believe I asked about it. Now, what's interesting about that is, as I look back at my life in retrospect, there had always been clues that perhaps this is something that I should be doing. When I was doing my Master's of Science degree, yes, it was a medical research degree, but they had a student organization that I was a part of, where they would bring in professionals in different careers and stuff to speak with us. And I volunteered for that. What's interesting is, what I volunteered to do was to be the IT support officer. I volunteered to help with the website and to help with all that stuff. And then even way back when I was doing my bachelor's degree, I signed up to be on the medical track.
Mhm.
And for some reason, they allowed you to have a choice between doing math or doing computer science. And guess what I chose?
Computer science.
Computer science. And so there was always that there at
Mhm.
the back. Now I look back in retrospect. So so I don't know if this might resonate with people who are watching, that there are clues that are being left for you even right now, that's pointing you in the direction that you should go. And so fast forward to the asking about the church's website. At the time, I was very much still a very quiet, reserved type person. I
Mhm.
was always like, I want to be in the background person. So I went up to the pastor and I said, hey, I can probably, this is how I said it, I can probably help the person who is doing the website, because I was just like, I wanted to do it, but I didn't want to do it. There was that wrestle.
Mhm.
And he just looked at me straight and he said, why don't you do it?
Mhm.
And so I said, me? Okay, all right, And so I did the website. One of the things that helped me as well is, one other clue that I forgot to mention is, when I was going through all the stuff, being a young wife and mom and sharing different things that I was learning, one of the ways that I processed that out was I started a blog. So I was blogging about what it was like to raise a child with food allergies and the different things I was learning. So I was doing that. And so I used what I was learning as I was sharing on that blog to set up that blog. And I used that to help me set up the church's website. And
Mhm.
so I did that. And with all intention, I volunteered to do it. There was nothing about this is, so I volunteered to do it. I was happy to do it, happy to help. And then at the end of it, the church, they were so happy to finally have a website and really enjoyed it. I think more than anything, they love seeing their photos on the website. That afterwards, the committee, the board, I think they met together and they decided that they wanted to actually pay me
Mhm.
for that, which was a total surprise for me. And so that's how I kind of got launched into entrepreneurship. Well, not only that, because people in the church started to refer others that they knew, in business or in nonprofit organizations and things like that. They started to refer them to me. And so that was my clear confirmation that this is what I needed to do.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, so that was going on. And like I said, I had all this family things happening. And so I was still doing the blog as well. And I just started to look into different things that you could do online. Like, how can you make money online? That was what I was thinking, because at this point now I'm home full-time mom, with my son, and I'm wanting to see if there's something I could do as I'm raising him. And so I'm looking into all these things. How do people make money from blogs? How do people do this? How do people do that? And finally, I came across coaching. And I didn't know exactly what coaching was about. But I felt like, this sounds very interesting, right? So I actually experienced coaching after I signed up for coaching certification program. So that's like, I had no idea, but I'm signing up for this thing. It sounds good. And so as I was doing that, as I was learning about coaching, I was being coached. And as I went through that certification program, I myself began to be transformed. And then subsequently, after my coaching certification, I enrolled in many different coaching programs. And so now, and it really has transformed my life. It is so important, because I was a person who wanted to hide, so many things. But it's so important to have someone come alongside you who can call those things that they see in you, because sometimes we don't see it ourselves. To
Exactly.
have someone who can see what's in us and call it out of us, it's so important. And having a coach or mentor is really great for that. So, so yeah, so I am so excited that what I do now is like, you know, our calling is similar. Like we are co-laborers in Christ with that mandate to raise up coaches, because it is such a powerful tool to help people become the people that they were created to be. And so I especially love what you do, Viola, with transformational coaching, right? Because it's really helping people to get from point A to point Z, and to really, you know, to make that difference. For me, honestly, I look at where I started at that point, being a person at the end of my master's, having severe anxiety to give a talk, to now doing this. There's no way I could have been doing this show had it not been for the years of coaching, right? Because it's not just about, I think a lot of us are familiar with, obviously, like the school and education model, and a lot of it is just head knowledge and regurgitation and all that stuff. But what I love about coaching, and what I really love about the name of this show, Viola Attraction to Action, right? It really does give you that that level of accountability for you to take steps. And as you take the steps, that's how the transformation, you know, process happens. So I'm just really excited, and I just hope that my story has blessed someone so far. My whole, when I began coaching, my whole coaching, I have a verse that I kind of base it on. My coaching and mentorship is, as it's 2 Corinthians 1:4. It pretty much talks about that God comforts us as we go through different things, and so that we now can go and comfort others similarly. So with that, with the mentorship, it's the Lord has been gracious and faithful to show me how to navigate the different challenges that I was experiencing. And so now that's what I do, and why I have a heart for women who may feel like, you know, they're in a situation where it's just a lot going on and it's too much for them. And maybe the last thing they're thinking that they can do is actually step into, you know, the call and purpose that God has for their lives. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Just my story, and I'm just so grateful to be here.
Well, thank you so much for that. That is so powerful, Jenny-Lyn, and so, yeah, just really a beautiful story, a beautiful testimony of, you know, how God led you into your purpose. And I know that for those of you that are listening, some of you have clarity about what your purpose is, and we're all in different places with that, right? For some people, you may not have a clue. And yet, like Jenny-Lyn talked about, there are clues all throughout your life. And that's one of the things that I love about being a coach, is helping to draw those clues out so that you can see that they actually are there. Because like you said, it's so easy to overlook them. It's so easy to discount them. And then when you put the reality that sometimes you're fortunate enough, like you did, have a pastor that called your giftings out, and then other people as well that were like, oh my goodness, you're amazing at this. That's how you and I met, was through a post that you posted, and I was immediately taken by your gifting and your talent and your ability just in speaking directly to me, which, by the way, those of you that are listening, that's one of the many things that Jenny-Lyn offers through her online digital marketing business. Is she does copyright, she does the building of websites, the building of landing pages. She helps you organize your social media, and what else am I leaving out? Your email list, all those pieces, because okay, so what I've been called to is to transformational coaching for millennial leaders, but also to coach coaches. And one of the things that the reason why Jenny and I are connected, or one of the reasons I should say, is we are co-laboring together to help launch kingdom-minded coaches that really want to start their business. And so one of the things that we've both experienced in our process, and me much more so than she, because she does have the expertise of the computer science background. I didn't have that. And so when I recognized that, when I saw that she walks in that so powerfully, I'm like, oh my goodness, not only is this going to help me launch my business, but it's also going to help other people to be able to launch their business as well. And so, yeah, it's just all part, but I love your story. I love how you asked God that original question, what is it you want me to do? And so many other doors were closed to you, and he was leading and guiding you so perfectly and into the very thing that you're doing now, which is, you know, being a coach, being an entrepreneur, and helping people launch their businesses. So beautiful, beautiful story.
Yeah. And yeah, and I just want to say too, like, I know you and I have a heart for coaching. I would say that, you know, coaching really has helped me. It's so interesting. And one of the things that I do share with the women that I mentor is that actually the coaching, the requirements of coaching, and you know, the accountability that you get from coaching and stepping into stuff. I didn't know this, but it was as I was stepping into coaching and entrepreneurship and all those things, those were the things that helped me as I began to experience transformation that began to change the trajectory in my marriage. It's so interesting. It impacts you, but it impacts those around you as well, because you really do become a different person. Whereas before, and this is one of the things that I talk about a lot too, whereas before, the person I was before, shy, quiet, reserved, wanting everyone else to go ahead, not being very confident, you know, in myself, I was there just waiting for my husband to be the one to do this or be the one to do that. And I realized afterwards that it was as I took action, being true to what I believe I was being led into, that changed the trajectory of what was really going on in my marriage as well. So I am really passionate about that. The women who might feel that they're in a situation like that, one of the biggest, I would say, things that kept me stuck for so long was feeling like I had to wait. I had to wait for everyone's approval. And one of the biggest transformations, again, that has happened in my life is really overcoming what I call people pleasing, right? Just waiting for everyone's approval and not second guessing and not being sure of this, to now where I am in my journey with the Lord, and just having that relationship with him and being clear, like hearing from him and just like doing what he says and trusting him with the outcome. It really has been, I mean, seeing me now, it's really two different people. It really has been a thing for me. I literally, so many times, even before I was married, I can see now that I would be in situations where I would kind of get like a nudge to do something. I would get an idea. And if I shared it with a friend or someone and they're like, I don't know, that doesn't make sense, then I would just be like, okay, you know, and just forget about it and all those things. And I wasn't a person who would speak up, even if I felt like something was being said that was hurtful, or I just kept that all in. So that's kind of like where I was to now being someone who is more willing to share with others. You know, I've learned a lot in coaching. One of the biggest things for me that I learned as I was going through coaching programs was understanding healthy boundaries. That was a big thing for me. And it was scary, you know, having to think about, you know, having to have those types of conversations with people. But honestly, Viola, had I not taken that step to journey into the world of coaching, like I said before, I would not have been here. I would not be the woman I am today, even as and it even showed up, just so you know, not just in the coaching aspect of things for my business, it showed up in my web design business as well, in terms of the types of clients that I was getting and not having strong boundaries. It showed up there as well, right? So the coaching is applicable whether or not you decide to be a coach, just so you know the skill set of coaching and the different things that you learn, which is why I just really love coaching so much, because it can be applied to so many different areas in your life. Actually, when the business started and I started getting clients, it was like, it really began to get overwhelming because I didn't have boundaries in place. I didn't know how to speak up and say, well, you know, I didn't have all those things in place. And so when I went and got that coaching certification, it helped me not just to become a certified coach, but even on that side of my business as well. So, which is why I'm so excited to share about coaching and to help others who feel that call to coaching, and for specifically those women who might feel like you're waiting for your husband's approval. I just want to encourage you that as long as you're plugged in and connected with the Lord, and that's how He's guiding you, I promise you that things will work out for good when you choose to obey Him and trust Him with the outcome. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. And it's so well said, Jenny-Lyn, so well said, and so very much needed, because there are people that are listening to this and they know deep down inside that they are being called into that coaching space, specifically, regardless of whatever niche that is, that they have something that is for others, right? But maybe they're lacking the confidence, lacking the courage, don't have a clear path forward, don't know how to get started. So what would be a first step? What would you say would be a first step for someone who's in that situation right now, listening to you, and they're feeling like something on the inside speaking to them? How would they get started?
I would say for someone who knows and they feel that tug, that they're being called to coach, but they're not sure what the next steps are. My suggestion to you is to connect with a coach. That is the best thing for you to do. There's just something, even if you're not sure, there's so many times where I had to step out in faith for different things. And one of the things that I like to do is just make contact. It's almost like you're just setting an intention. This is where I'm going, and I'm just making contact, even though I'm not even sure exactly how the different things are going to work out. Just making that contact, it's like sending a message or a signal like, this is where I'm going. So I would say that very first easy baby step that you can do is just connect with a coach. Just make contact. It's like, this is where I'm going. And you know, you can even just say to the coach that I'm thinking of coaching. I mean, you have Viola here. She wrote an awesome book, right? That you can get on Amazon. You could get whatever, you can get the Kindle version, you can get the hard copy. You can read it, because I'm telling you, I read that book and I was thinking, Lord, how come I didn't have this book when I was starting out in my coaching business? Because one of the things is, yes, I did learn the coaching skills and all that, but in terms of the business side of things, that was not something that I had readily available. And so I would say make contact with a coach. Viola has a lovely book that she just launched to get an idea, if you're not sure exactly. And just to really get informed, what's needed, what's behind that, and just to make contact. I think there's just something so powerful behind that. In so many instances, when I had to step out in faith, and I'm like, I have no idea, but I just made contact with someone. It's like when I was in Antigua and I was wanting to come to Canada for school. My mom's a single mom, have no idea how this is going to happen. What did I do? I applied for university anyway. I made contact, right? And so I think it's an easy enough, simple step that you can do even right now, and to really just start to show intention and to start moving in that direction.
I love that. That is so true. It's like you take one step forward and God will meet you there. And a lot of times he's just waiting for you to exercise your faith.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to know the whole thing right now.
Right.
But just one step that you can take. And as you take a step, then another step will, you'll get clarity on another step. And it really is a journey and a process. So yeah, definitely I would say if you're thinking of coaching, connect with a coach, and just see how that goes. Just make that contact and see what happens.
I love that, Jenny-Lyn. Can you share, I know you have, can you share an experience where you've had the privilege of coaching or mentoring someone through your business that you got to see transformation happen in their lives?
Yeah, so it's interesting because when I started coaching, at the very beginning, I wasn't very clear on a niche. I was just taking a step and just looking at what was in front of me. And so I actually started a small group coaching program. And the idea was, I think it's because I kept seeing this come up for people. I did a group coaching program on finances. Now, essentially, it was on biblical finances and, finances and achieving goals and all that. I was really wanting to help to motivate people in the church to go after the things that God placed in their heart. And so as I was doing that, there was this one particular lady who enrolled in the program. And when she started, I would say that she wasn't really in a relationship with the Lord. I think she just, because she knows me, and so she signed up for the program. And it's so interesting. So that's where she started, and we went through each thing. And there was at some point in the program, I recommended a book, a prayer book, to read. And so she purchased that book, and then she just got so hooked. She's like, oh my goodness, this is so awesome. I've never seen anything like this. And so she read that thing, and then she got so excited. She started going to church. She started even telling other people about this. And I'm thinking, wow, starting, like, she just signed up for like a finance thing, had no idea exactly what was in the program, to go from not having a relationship, not involved in the church at all, to being excited, sharing with others, getting plugged in with the church. And it's so interesting because a lot of what I do in the coaching, it usually is something along those lines, where one way or another, wherever a person starts, by the end of it, their relationship, they're at a different place in their relationship, with the Lord. When I remember I was working with a woman, and she was separated actually in her marriage. And so I just want to say this, guys, just so you know, being called doesn't necessarily mean that you don't still have some things show up like doubt and imposter syndrome and all that, because she came to me and I was like, Lord, what am I supposed to do here? And so he essentially like, just do what you know to do. So she started there, separated in her marriage, and I was coming alongside her and encouraging her in her relationship with the Lord and pouring into her and sharing with her. By the end of it, she said to me in tears, she's like, I felt like you took my hand and you placed it in the Father's hand, and you reminded me of who I am. And so she reconnected with God. She had a desire also I didn't know this at the time, but she had a desire also to be a coach that was reawakened in her, and she started to pursue that. And she began to see, even not just with herself as she was making these changes, she began to see changes in her husband, where he began to now, where they were more fighting than anything else, but he began to now start to open up to her and share with her, not necessarily things she always wanted to hear, but there was that as well. And so it's just amazing, because I felt really unqualified in this situation. But what I love about being a coach is that you don't need to have all the answers. As a coach, you're just guiding people into finding the answers for themselves and keeping them accountable to taking action. So in both of those situations, I felt like I didn't know, I didn't have all of the answers, and I didn't know what to expect. But at the end of the day, it was really just me coming alongside them and guiding them and just really holding that space for them to be able to receive the answers for themselves and to take action.
I think that's so important that you share that, because oftentimes issues like what you're sharing in this particular case are the issues of our personal lives can oftentimes be the thing or the things that hinder us or hold us back from actually being able to step into our God-given purpose. So they're not separate, they're challenging to separate, right? Because one definitely can impact or affect the other for good or otherwise. And so I love the fact that you were able, through the process of coaching, to help her with something that could have been a potential hindrance for her being able to move forward in the other areas of her life, right? And so that's really important. That's something that for the people that are getting coached in the Launch Your Profitable Coaching business, I want you to know this is really all about getting it done. This is very much about business, but we can't separate who we are as a person from the thing that God has called us to do. And He cares about both of those things, right? And so what I love is that even, and it's amazing because sometimes we think in our minds, well, once I get my marriage together, or once I get my kids grown, or once I get my finances together, or once I get myself together, then I'm going to begin to do that thing that I know God is calling me to. And in reality, what I've experienced with the people that have had the privilege of coaching, and what I hear you saying as well, is it's more like the both and. As we step forward, and I don't know why, but I just feel like for some of you, this is really hitting home right now, is because you've been waiting, like Jenny-Lyn was waiting for her husband's approval to move forward. Oftentimes we're waiting for the right circumstances. We're waiting for all of our ducks to be in a row. We're waiting for every T to be crossed and every I to be dotted before we begin the thing that God is calling us to. And in reality, He's saying, just trust me, step out of the boat, walk by faith, not by sight, because he has this amazing way of integrating our lives and using one area to actually help us move forward in the other. And so I really want this to be encouragement for those of you that regardless of what your current situations, situationships, circumstances, finances, whatever those things are that you feel are keeping you from being able to move forward. If God has called you and you know that this really is a call for kingdom-minded coaches. If you know deep down on the inside of you that you have a calling from the Lord to step into the space of being a coach, I want you to really, first of all, I want to invite you to join the Facebook group, Boots on the Ground Challenge 414. The next challenge is October 10th, and I will be putting out more information about that very, very soon. But I want to invite you, I want you to come and taste and see what this is really all about. And if it's for you, it's an opportunity for you to come in for 3 days and get a really good taste, get a kind of, what do I want to say, kind of, yeah, just a taste of what can be possible for you if you're willing to just take that first step like Jenny-Lyn is speaking of. I also want to encourage you to and Jenny-Lyn's going to give you her information. I'm going to let her use these last few minutes just to tell you how you can connect with her. If you are already a coach and you've been struggling to get your business up and running, you've been struggling to find paying clients, you've been really like doing all the things, but not feeling like you've been able to make any headway with that. This woman right here, she's talked a lot about her gifting in the coaching space and helping women with the heart issues. And that's so important. But I don't want you to miss the reality that she is amazing at the business side of things. And that was really the thing that got my attention about her and drew me to her. And we just, we sat down and had a conversation and realized that we were a perfect fit because our hearts are to help women launch a profitable coaching business. And I say that unapologetically, unashamedly. One of my favorite sayings is, money in the hands of the righteous is justice. And God is releasing coaches to launch their profitable coaching businesses for such a time as this, because he wants to bless you, because he trusts you to be able to advance his kingdom, to partner with him for the advancement of his kingdom. There's things that only you were created and born to do. There are people that you are assigned to that are waiting to hear from you. They're not waiting to hear from me. They're not waiting to hear from Jenny-Lyn. They're waiting to hear from you specifically. And so this is a call to you. I'm calling you forward. I'm calling you out. And I'm saying, hear this call today and join us in the Facebook group so that you can jump into this next challenge. If you join the Facebook group today, you'll be right on time for Alicia Cole's special event tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is another opportunity for you to taste and see what God is up to. But I am here to tell you, he is on the move in a powerful way, and he is here to strongly support you if you say yes to what he has for you. And like Jenny-Lyn said so eloquent, you don't have to have everything all figured out in advance. You don't have to know all the pieces of the puzzle or even what all the steps are. You just need to take that first step. And so that first step is connecting. And you can connect with her. And I'm going to be quiet now so you can share how people can connect with you. And I'll put the link for the Facebook group in the comments when we're done.
All right. Thank you so much, Viola. This has been truly amazing and an honor. And I really hope that this has helped someone in some way. If you'd like to stay in touch with me, you can reach me or learn more about me at JennyLynAllen.com. If you're on Facebook, you can head on over to facebook.com/Jenny-Lyn-Allen3F. That's my Facebook page that you can connect with me on if you wanted more information on how it can help you with done-for-you tech, landing pages, copywriting, all the things, knowing what specific software you need for your coaching business, or if you're at a place where you feel like you need also that marriage support as you move forward, definitely come connect with me at facebook.com/Jenny-Lyn-Allen.
Excellent. And we're going to again drop all those links in the comments to this Facebook Live, so you'll easily be able to connect with her. I can't say enough about her. She's just amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I'm super, super excited. Basically, in a nutshell, you guys, she has put together what I call a streamlined tech stack, where you don't have to figure everything out for yourself. When it comes to the technology piece of launching your business, she just lays it out for you step by step, and she does it for you. Hello. In case you didn't hear me, she does it for you. So for those of you that are not millennials or you're not tech savvy, I know that's singing to you right now, because that was, for me, that was the most challenging part of getting my business going, was just getting those pieces of the puzzle in place. And thanks to Jenny-Lyn, and she just made it so simple and so easy. And I'm so thankful for that. So, any final words of wisdom that you want to just leave? You've left so many words of wisdom. Is there any final words that you want to share with our audience before we sign off today?
Yeah, the only thing that I can say now is, I love, like I said before, I love the name of this show, Traction to Action. So if there's just one thing that you can take away, one action that you can commit to, if something is stirring up in your heart right now, run with it. That's it. Take action.
That's so excellent. I can't top that, so I'm not even going to try. That is so well said. Yeah, take action. Like she said, connect with a coach. Well, actually, there is one thing I do want to say, and that is, I did a Traction to Action show with one of my coach trainers. And one of the things that stuck with me, and I'll leave you with this final thought, she shared this analogy of fireworks. How can a coach help you move forward in whatever it is that you're wanting to do? And she used the analogy of fireworks, where one person bought some fireworks, but they really weren't like the best quality fireworks. And another person had these fireworks and they were like amazing. And so when the first person lit their fireworks, they just kind of went up in the air and poof, kind of made it a foot off the ground and just fizzled out. And then the other person that had the quality fireworks, they lit their fireworks and the thing just shot into the stratosphere and just lit up the whole sky. And that is the difference between trying to do life on your own, the difference between trying to build a business on your own. You can do it on your own, but let me tell you, doing it on your own is overrated. Okay. And I just don't believe that you're ever going to be able to experience the fullness. You may make some headway, you may be able to, get off the ground and get started, unless you're just one of those people. There's like a 1% group out there that just is amazing, right? We're gifted with that. But the rest of us in the 99%, we really were never created to do life alone. So I really want to encourage you, get connected. Like she said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. I love you guys so much. And I look forward to the next Traction to Action show coming up soon. I'll stay tuned for that and I'll let you know. And thanks for being here, Jenny-Lyn.
My pleasure.
All right. God bless you guys. Bye-bye.